To call the school committee meeting for Wednesday, September 6th, 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. I'd like to start with reading the mission statement. The Douglas Public Schools offers diverse learning experiences that meet the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all students. We provide a safe, supportive, and challenging learning environment in which students may achieve academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of students. And I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to start with public comment, if anybody's here for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on. Any old business?
No old business.
Any new business?
New business, we'll just roll right into my...
All right, sounds good.
So one of the things we're going to do on the 20th is we're going to introduce new staff to the school committee. We have one teacher who's so excited to meet the school committee that they came today instead of the 20th. So I'll have Mr. O'Brien introduce his staff member.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Vieira. This is Leah Lewandowski, a graduate of West Boylston High School. She went to Bridgewater State University, where she received her degree in art education, which I think is really impressive. Not only does she know art, but her education was revolved around teaching art to students. So we were thrilled with that. She did her student teaching in Taunton High School with just superb references all around. I think we're very lucky to have her. Young teacher, and I hope she spends her entire career here at Douglas.
Welcome.
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 Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you for coming tonight. Again, she was so excited to meet everyone. She came, which is awesome. All right, so next, start of school. Principals and directors will give their updates on their buildings momentarily, but just from a 30,000-foot view. I said last time we met that there were a lot of people that went into making sure school started smoothly, and we had a great start. Obviously, you transition from one school year to another school year. You put over 200 staff members, over 1,100 students. You have people moving buildings, buses for the first time. There are some kinks we need to work out, obviously, but from what I've seen being back inside classrooms, being in buildings, kids are smiling, kids are happy, a lot of fist pumps, a lot of high fives, a lot of smiling faces. Things have been great. So again, I just want to thank everyone who worked so hard to make this work and get this ready for kids. So when principals and directors come up, we can get to a little bit more detail about how the starts went in each of the buildings. Any questions from a district-wide view about the start of the school year from the committee?
Our principals and Dr. Rosenthal going to update us on staffing?
I'll give a brief update on staffing, and they can go a little bit more in detail. The majority of our teaching positions, I believe, are all filled. Is that accurate? We don't have any vacancies in staff. We're waiting on a waiver for two people. We're waiting on waivers for two people. The rest of it is ABAs in Paris. And I was on School Spring today. We refresh every 2 weeks, and we're getting anywhere from 0 to 1 applicant. Interestingly enough, Cindy had an interview, I think it was scheduled for early this week. Person called Cindy at 7 o'clock. I texted and said, what's the address? I'll be there at 10. Never showed up, but I believe interviewed with Mr. Ringette the day before and came in to the building, and then Rob's waiting on her paperwork to see if we do the next step, but she hasn't sent in any paperwork. So we're getting 0 to 1 people apply, and even when people apply, again, you can speak to it better than I can. You're setting up the interviews and people either aren't showing up or sometimes not even calling you back.
Have we talked about, like, looking into career fairs?
We did a career fair. We have applicants from people from career fairs. I know on School Spring, we've done the reverse search. On School Spring, you have the ability to pull up a list of everyone who's applied for a position.
Yeah.
You can do it by geographical distance, and then we've invited those people to apply for jobs. Sometimes they apply and submit applications, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they apply, you call, and they don't call you back. We've had interviews set up and people just aren't coming in for meetings. But we're concerned. We met today on it, and I know each of the buildings have a shortage of staff, but literally no one's applying.
No, I know. I don't feel like that's just a Douglas issue. I
It's
feel like
not.
that's an everywhere issue. I know you've reached out to the colleges in the past too.
Yeah, I think Bob did that for a couple positions where we were looking at waivers. He did handshake with a couple of the schools. Sometimes this time of year, what ends up happening is you have a few people who are holding out for a teaching job and then hoping to come back and then ending up with a para position. So again, we refreshed today the majority of the things and tried to bump them up to a fresher date, but
It's tough.
it's really odd. Like, I remember talking to Cindy when I first started here, and she said, I don't wait until mid-August to look for paras, because you just wait for a lot of these young adults coming out of college not getting teaching jobs when you would have 75, 100, 200 people apply for an elementary teaching position, and then they would become a para or an ABA for a couple of years and work their way into the system. No one.
It's hard because we're not close to any of the colleges either, so you can't really even have an intern to help out either.
Correct.
Like, there's no transportation to get down here.
And that'd be, we have multiple positions open in each of the buildings. It'd be great for one, but I know they'll speak to it. I think the high school, you still have, what, 5 or 6? Yeah. Yeah, we can't find it. So we're working with Dr. Rosenthal. This weekend, he'll be sending out letters to families to let them know what's going on. That's going out this week. I believe Friday we talked, correct? Yeah, we're sending that out on Friday. And for teaching positions, we're waiting on 2 waivers through DESE, which has been a very, very, very cumbersome process.
No, thank you for that.
Do you hear a common theme of money?
I've heard that salary for some of the positions, but then I talk to my colleagues who are in communities where they're paying, $6, $7, $8 more an hour, and they're struggling to get. But yes, one of the obstacles is the starting pay for the paras and for the ABAs, and even sometimes for people in teaching positions. I think Anthony lost a person who was supposed to come in at step 3, and they said, we can't come here unless it's minimum of step, I think it was 6 or 7, and we're like, we can't move you 3 or 4 steps on the salary schedule for it. So I know other districts are struggling. They hear money as well too. It's so hard to find people right now.
And not only just in public education, it's pretty much across the, all sectors of employment.
I know, even in some of the private schools right now where they have a high, supervision and a high, they get a lot, they're struggling for their staff too.
And remember, that OSD rate jumped up
It-
from 2% to 4% for signing bonuses for private schools, and even with signing bonuses, they can't find people.
Maybe less people are entering the profession too, do you think?
yeah.
Like going to get an educational degree versus like finance, or do you know? I mean, is
A lot
there?
of people want to consult too, right?
I think you have enrollment's been down in college campuses since COVID. A lot of schools, you see declining enrollment. We're not getting the applications for education. You talk to people, and people are looking for more money. Kids, well, they're not kids at 22. They're bouncing around. They're trying something for 2-3 years. It doesn't stick. They'll try something else for 2-3 years. Doesn't stick. They'll move to something else for 2-3 years. The days of when we were younger, you knew what you doing for the most part for college, and you went into education. That's where you stayed for 20, 30, 35 years.
And probably a lot of it as well, I think, is because a lot of the younger generation want jobs where you can stay at home and work remotely. You can't do that in public education. I mean, I know we did during a particular time. We need people we need teachers and staff in front of our students, physically there. I think that's a factor as well, nationwide.
It's tough.
No one told me it was in here.
Caitlin, it's in here.
Is this being recorded?
Just roll by.
All right, so. You threw me off my game there for a minute. Did you guys win, or you lost 2-0?
We lost 2-1.
Who'd you play?
Wainesville Christian.
Okay. So any other questions about staffing?
I think that's
All right,
informative.
we have a student rep who just finished a soccer game. We're going to
Better
go
catch up
back
breath.
to go forwards. Do you need a few minutes to catch your breath, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
All right. Do you know where to go?
No. Like in the chairs?
Like in the chairs.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little sweaty.
Fine.
We're going to
Okay, do I
welcome
just-
Caitlin Forget, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, Forget.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome.
Do I go?
You go.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Good evening, school committee. I'm Caitlin Forget, a member of the senior class here at DHS. After this nice 4-day weekend, we are beginning to settle into our classes and get ready for the exciting year to come. Douglas Athletics have been working hard to prepare for the exciting season ahead. Soccer began today with both our girls and boys teams facing off against Waynesville Christian. Our cross-country team also started off this afternoon in their debut against Bellingham. At the end of the week, the girls volleyball team will have a match against Southbridge. Outside of athletics, all of the students are beginning to prepare for the year ahead. Seniors will be offered an SAT on October 11th as the last chance to boost your score before the early deadlines. Juniors are acclimating to their new APs, and seniors get ready to begin their applications. As we settle in, our clubs and other school programs are beginning the application process. The National Honor Society is getting ready to examine the students who have applied this year, and Student Council is getting ready to hold their first welcome meeting this week. As we end off our month, students get to look forward to homecoming. The sophomore class is working hard to make sure everything is ready for the exciting week to come. Leading up to the evening dance, students can look forward to a festive spirit week and thrilling sports matches with volleyball on the 29th and boys and girls soccer on the 30th. Until then, students are preparing diligently for this important school year. Thank you for having me. Are there any questions?
You did a great job. Thank
Okay.
you for being here.
You're welcome.
You excited for your senior year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I do now?
You're good.
Okay. Have a great night, guys.
Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
That could be the highlight of the evening,
This is
maybe
for
the
sure.
year, of the year. All right. So next on my agenda is just a quick overview of enrollment and where we stand today. Again, we're only 4 days in. We'll do a more in-depth analysis and probably close school choice in early October. But I just wanted to point out where we're at. A couple things to look at. First is we're down 42 students from last year. We're at 1151 now. At the end of last year, before seniors left, we were at 1193. If you look across the top, you can see school choice receiving, we're down 2 kids. Private schools, we won't get that number until October 1. Homeschool, we're down 3. Sending private school, we won't get that until October 1. BVT took 5 additional students. Norfolk Aggie, we're right at 13. And then obviously our total sending is a little bit off because we don't have the numbers for private schools. Where we see the biggest jump is in grade 8 to grade 9. We lost 27 students from grade 8 to grade 9. Majority of those going to BVT. If you do an analysis of last year's grade 1 to this year's grade 2 and do the all throughout, we're +1, -2, +3, -1, which is where the remaining deficit came from. School choice, as we have here, we're down 2 students. Pre-K enrollment is down 5, but that always kind of jumps up at some point. Norfolk Aggie accepted 1 new student, and then we had 10 students move or went to or go to other schools. So we're down 42 students from where we were last year. We'll have firmer numbers after the October 1 report, and at that point, we'll look to see, usually I think it's that mid-October meeting, we close school choice. But I just wanted to present this to the committee, just as an overview of where we are in terms of enrollment to start the year.
Are our homeschool numbers relative to our total population, are they like in line with what happens in the rest of the state? If you don't know, you don't.
I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that. I do not know the answer to that. We've seen, obviously, since COVID, a spike.
Right.
In people homeschooling
Yeah, like
students.
double.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, we've seen that spike since COVID. Can you go back to, 15, 16, 17, we're up in the 50s, but yeah, we've seen a spike in people homeschooling. And there's a lot of reasons for that.
No, it just, to me, it's just interesting, that's all.
Questions on the enrollment numbers?
I'm just wondering, is there going to be some, is it something that we're going to talk about as to that spike in the 8 to 9 grade? I don't want to think that that's a trend that's going to continue, but
The
I
trend's
feel like
been-
it means we've got to do some.
The trend's been going on from 8 to 9 with BVT, and the number of students they accept for many, many, many years. If you look going back 17, 18, they've been hovering anywhere from enrollment of 110 to 120 over years. I think it was Hopedale last year that lost about 60% of their class from 8th to 9th grade going there. They have a formula they use. We just found out today that typically they ask for the names of all 8th graders to send home information. This year, Kayla received an email today at 10:30 from them asking for the names and contact information of all 7th and 8th graders. I got the text from Bob, I said no, and then he forwarded me the email, and there's actually a law that says that we have to release the names of all 7th and 8th graders to all vocational schools that service our school district. But the first thing we need is parental consent to do so. So we're gonna have to send something out to families saying, if you do not want us to send information to BVT, please let us know. If not, under the law, we have to send out information for all 7th and 8th graders to BVT by the 15th of October under MGL. Yep. I know there's something, I've talked about with Bob, we're trying to keep more kids in the 8th grade. What do we have for applications? We had 26 students get in, 25 actually go. Do you know how many applicants we had? Yeah. I know
A lot.
it was over half the class. Yeah. So they're just taking a lot of students.
I feel like, I don't know, having kids at that age, I feel like they're talking about what they're gonna do in high school in 6th grade. They're talking about all of that earlier.
And one of the reasons where, for the past 2 years, we've put in for that adjustment counselor/counselor at the middle school is at the high school, we do Naviance, which is career planning for 9 through 12. Fortunately, Kayla doesn't have the ability with all the triage she needs to do, the 504 meetings she needs to run. One of the reasons we're looking for that joint position is to start Naviance in the 6th grade with students, to start that career planning 6 through 12. So at least the conversation is when you go to Douglas High School, when you go to Douglas High School, when you go to Douglas. So if you can plant that seed in 6th grade with students and build that plan, obviously at a 12-year-old, they're gonna change their minds 100 times. But at least we can start doing that. But Kayla doesn't have the capacity with everything.
And we have no update on getting any more funding for that position.
I know we're still waiting for Jean Levitt to close the books out. I know I talked to Courtney about it about 2-3 weeks ago. She says she's still a ways away from doing that. Obviously, we'll have to have it done by the fall town meeting, which is in
Yeah.
November.
In other words, for the town to get new growth figures and things of that nature.
We're going to the Finance Committee this month and the Board of Selectmen Committee this month, all of us. And the same presentation I did to the school committee back on June 21st about projecting our needs for FY24. I want to make sure the community and those two committees know what our needs are in September. I'm going with...
For 24.
For 24, sorry. No, for 25. 25, sorry. But we're just like 3 days into 24.
I know.
For 25. We're going to the open houses, and I'm going to be presenting to families just a brief overview of where we are and where we're going, so families understand. And then I've started working on a presentation that I'm going to be doing to staff, school committee, the community, and the two committees on just our budget status, just for people to understand where we are financially and how, unless the formula changes, we can't keep up with growth. Nevertheless, we're never going to be able to move forward. So that's coming in October, November for people. So trying to keep people informed of it, but it's so hard. You talk about that grade 6, 7, 8 position. We have a .5 maintenance person for grounds outside. We have well over 20, 30 acres. Just to mow the lawns
let alone the
everywhere.
athletics.
I'm not even talking lining the fields, but just to mow the lawns, it's probably 3 days, then you have to take 2 days off, then you have to start back over on the, and all we have them for is 4 hours a day. You know, it was so, they did an incredible amount of work to get schools ready to start the year, but we were so short-staffed and so understaffed that at one point Courtney was out 3 days before school started weeding the front of the middle school in order to be able to help out to clean up. So we need resources.
Can you let us know when you're going to those meetings? Can you,
Yeah, I'll send you, as long as we go with under,
no,
yeah,
Yeah.
not at school committee, like you just,
yeah.
yep.
And I kind of feel like this is a repeat of the 2016, 17, 18 timeframe, and we did, warn and warn and warn. We had the strategic budget committee. I don't know how many of you remember that back then. We were meeting and talking about it over and over and over again, at big auditorium meetings and everything, and it just, I don't want to say fell on deaf ears, but I don't think people realized the repercussions, even though we were telling them over and over and over. And we weren't saying it as a scare tactic in any way, shape, or form. And then we all know what happened. And, just a reminder that, we do appreciate the override, which was implemented, for our budget year in 2019. But I hate to put it this way, but it's true. It was too little, too late, like a long time. So instead of being 10 feet under looking up to see the bottom, we ended up being, 6 feet under looking up to see the bottom. And, it did stabilize us at least. And then we had, if it weren't for the ESSER funding that we got because of COVID, and I hate to be thankful for anything having to do with COVID, we would be in far dire straits than we are right now. So we really do want to get out there well in advance so that everybody understands, going forward, particularly into FY25 and beyond. I can't even think of beyond.
No, and I think you
Let
both
people
have
know.
been very upfront with communicating with the members of the different
And
teams too.
we're going to ramp that up. I mean, just for people to understand, we receive an additional 2% allocation from the town. 85% of our budget is staffing. We have another 7 to 10%, which are contractual obligations, special ed contracts. The 2% increase over our previous year's allocation from the town does not cover our contractual obligations. Doesn't. So we have to fund that through grants and through revolving accounts. Doesn't give us the ability to grow. As I mentioned, we need those 4 positions. That's not budgeted. The Chromebooks that we have are going to be 4 years old at the end of this year. We all know what a 4-year-old Chromebook looks like when they've been handled by a 12-year-old for 4 years. We need those Chromebooks in order to be able to take our benchmark assessments. We need those Chromebooks in order to be able to take MCAS. We need those Chromebooks to do any of the online learning we do. We need those Chromebooks in order to access Google Classroom. All the writing is done. That's approximately $77,000 a year to get those Chromebooks back. Our remediation paras that have done incredible work with our Tier 2 intervention, to bring those paras back, $85,000. We're entering into contract negotiations with 3 of our bargaining units this year: custodial, cafeteria, and desk bar, paras and ABAs. So we got to do negotiations this year with them. Next year, we're entering into negotiations with the Teachers Association. Those are all things that aren't funded, that we need some influx of money in order to be able to fund that growth. And the 2%, as I said, doesn't even cover our contractual obligations.
And really, it's an issue of sustainability, and we're not even sustaining, we're not even really talking about additional programmatic changes or to, implement, different things that we've talked about over the years. We're just talking about basic sustainability, which we're losing ground. Starting this year, we lost a lot of ground. We all know we don't need to revisit it again, what happened with the FY24 budget, and we don't even know where that stands. But on the 20th, again, we had some additional transactional things that we needed to do for closing out the books. I know I did present it at your last meeting and everything, but we just found a few more things we had to do. So, and I'll be presenting just the reclasses and transfers this evening for some more. So on the 20th is when I'll bring more information on
finances, both for closing out FY '23 balances and things of that nature, but also looking prospectively forward, and of course, on the school lunch program and the preschool program. But also, what I'm going to do going forward, and I feel bad because I was remiss in doing this in the past. Now that I think of it, I don't know why, but definitely need to make it more, get information out there on our capital needs. So with regular presentations to you, the school committee, and we just kind of got in the habit of always just bringing it to the capital planning, but, I mean, you are the school committee, definitely need to be updating you regularly about our needs, how long these needs have been there, moving forward. I know that we did speak to the school committee in the past about trying to get approval to have a town-wide survey done of all the buildings, because we don't want to just piecemeal, because then it's not fair to everybody. I guess if all buildings are looked at and surveyed to see what the needs are, that's the best way to actually see what's outstanding, get an estimate, just an estimate, and they do provide that as well, so that you can make an informed decision on prioritizing and for the funding structure. Because most of that, you can issue bonds. I'm not saying that that's what the town would need to do or do. But you can certainly see how that fits into your, excess debt capacity. When debt falls off, you can incorporate new debt in, which I'm sure they do, and just have a financing plan for the next 20-plus years. You can't do that without knowing the full scope, town-wide, of all town buildings and what the needs are. Now, I don't claim to know anything. I do not know anything about the town buildings in any way, shape, or form. But we do know that we have a very old primary school, and this high school is 20 years old, and we're starting to see some things happen that, I know we can't even believe it's 20 years old, that we definitely need to get addressed before we have start having some serious issues. So these are things that we just want to make sure that it's all at the forefront. We just don't want, Paul and I have had a lot of discussion about that, we don't want anyone coming back afterwards and saying, nobody let us know. They're going to know the full scope.
Is it
Um,
Not that we haven't in the past, but capital, we need to actually
And the
increase
Board of
that.
Sel- The Board of Selectmen meeting's on the 19th, and the Finance Committee's on the 26th,
Of September.
September, 7 o'clock.
Is it possible to get this number of per student cost? How much it costs us per student?
Oh, certainly. DESE has it, they're always 2 years behind. So it would be 2 years,
Well, they do it,
You know.
they do it by district?
Oh, yes, per pupil expenditure. Oh,
And
absolutely.
that will correlate with with the numbers that we're seeing here?
Well, how can I explain this? Okay, that is derived from the end of the year reports. In fact, ours for FY '23 is due by the end of September. I haven't even started it yet. But that's a huge report. This is due to DESE. And then they have to go through a whole audit process, have them all audited across the entire state. Then they post figures from that. They come up with per pupil expenditure. They do.
So I can
huge
go to
report.
DESE and I can get that number, but it'll be based on 2022 to 2023 school year.
So you-
Oh, no, 2020. We just passed the '23 school year. Nobody's even done any of the year reports yet.
No, it'll be based on last year's
2 years ago.
No, 2 years ago.
Takes a whole, because their year takes longer. to
Yeah, those
go.
reports haven't even been, not everybody's books are closed yet for '23.
So based on
Yeah.
that, there's no way that we can get that number? I
It would
feel
come
like
from
that's,
DESE. It would come from DESE.
but I
per
feel like
pupil
that's a
expenditure.
crucial number for the Board of Selectmen, for this community to see how much it's costing us to teach each student.
Yeah, that's,
And
we
then-
get that from
And how well we
DESE.
do it in
And-
I don't
comparison
think
to
2
other
years ago
districts.
numbers is really going to be beneficial, because there's been so much change and, costs have increased, but it's just something,
If I could speed
Yeah.
up the DESE
Yeah,
wheels
yeah,
for a
that would
whole
have to
host
come
of
from them,
things.
yeah.
but we know that.
Yeah.
We should be able to know that.
Oh, yeah,
What it's costing
no.
us.
I haven't even started my end of the year report. That's like thousands of numbers that I have to enter into a report.
mean, we know
Then it
our-
has to be audited, and then it goes, if there, I don't know if there may be any changes, there usually aren't, but, and it goes to DESE, they have a review,
And even if we
Any
have-
information like that, everyone gets from DESE. They're the ones that prepare that based on their own
Yeah.
formula.
And even if we had that number,
Maybe trends we can look
Yeah.
at.
even if we looked at that number, in isolation, what are you comparing it to? you know, let's say our per pupil expenditure is $11,000 per
Oh,
student.
no, exactly. We get the whole entire state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what we used to do, because we used to be the lowest and then the second lowest, we're not anymore. It has gotten better here in Douglas. But they send out statewide to everybody across the state, all at once, when it's all completed. And that's, so you can sort it, you can put, you know, lowest to highest, you can see where you stand, you can look at all the data, you can compare yourself to comps. They also have a reporting capability where you can put in the school districts that you see as comps, dump that into a thing, you know, so you can actually use it for information, because in isolation, it doesn't mean anything. That's the other point,
Yeah, I
too.
mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of trivial in so many regards, actually, because
It's not, though, because it shows the community, like, this is what it costs us to, you know, this is the budget we've created, and this is what it costs us to teach each child, and this is what other communities are.
We won't have that.
oh, wait.
We won't have other communities. The information that DESI sends out is 2 years old, so even if we gave you the number for last school year for Douglas, we can't compare that to any other community until DESI puts that out, which won't come out until probably the middle to end of this year.
But more importantly, and actually something Julie just said made me think of this, okay, looking at per pupil expenditure, it's what has actually been spent.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean what is adequate to educate students. You know, the more telling report is to look at net school spending across the state and see where we lie in Douglas compared to the amount above net school spending that most other communities are providing. That's a report that's very, very telling. But it really isn't, because when you think about it, it's only what's going to be in there is all that we have for financial resources. That doesn't necessarily equate to the amount of resources or dollars that it takes to adequately educate our students. Those are two completely different things.
Do those numbers take into account any grants that we take in either, or did those numbers
Yes.
just, okay.
Yeah.
So those numbers don't take
And they
in
break
what
it
we're
out.
actually budgeted, like, we get a lot of other grants, so it doesn't even, so it's even less than what we actually, okay.
But they do break all of that out, too. It's a very long spreadsheet. Yeah. So,
Well, that was a nice little tangent off of
Yeah.
enrollment for FY '23-24.
but it does tie in,
But
because, you know, our
it does-
resources do equate to
Enrollment.
student enrollment, although statewide
Yeah.
enrollment is declining, but certainly we have seen that in the past as well. When I brought up about the 2016, that we had that mass exodus at
And
that time.
as I said, you know, I'll
Yep.
present in greater detail this, and as I'm getting ready to present to the various committees, we'll keep people informed. The first one is going to be this month, and it's the identical presentation to what we did. And our goal is just to start every month informing the committees, school committee, community, and staff where we are and what our budget reality is going into FY '25. And just make sure people understand where we're at.
And if people can't get to those meetings, those are on YouTube too, through the town, I
Correct.
believe.
The ones I do will probably be a combination of in-person and Zoom to do it, but we'll build to that. All right. Next, we have people, principals, getting ready to present their goals. I believe it was 2 weeks ago I presented my goals. Principals have worked on their goals for the year, so they're going to do two things. They're going to talk a little bit about their goals. I'm going to have Bob and Cindy come up together, because their goals are, I think, almost identical for it. And one thing that you'll see and the community will see is that we're in alignment, and that's important for us all to be going in the same direction. And one of the reasons why I wanted the principals to present their goals, and we'll post them this week on the website, is I want everyone to know where we're going. I don't want there to be any confusion as to the direction the district is going in. We're going to continue with the mantra of 100% of our kids being at or above grade level for it. And I know some people have pushed back and said 100%. My question is, which 3 are we going to leave behind? How are we picking 3 in a classroom of 20 to leave behind? I don't want to, we're not going to do that. So we're going to aim that bar at 100%. So we'll have Cindy and Bob come up, talk about what their goals are, talk about how they're going to attack it inside the buildings, then give a brief overview of the start of the year. We'll have Mr. Ringett go next. His goals are similar, but the way that he's approaching the at or above benchmark is a little bit different at the high school. So he'll be the lone star over there, and Dr. Rosenthal will go at the end.
Good evening. In regards to the start of the school year, we look like we'll just be down one ABA, and we're waiting for the waiver. Luckily, we had Jay mentioned who retired in June, came back and is holding the ship down. So we have that. A lot of it is teachers have moderate special needs and they need the severe. I think it'd be easier if you came in off the street asking for the emergency than going from
Correct.
moderate to severe of what DESI will give you. Great start to the school year. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop all day. We reworked the schedule, and I would love to thank Jackie Sullivan for her help as the Dean of Students over the summer. The concern was the size of grade 7, and the grade 6 teachers have a lot more space than grade 7. So we reworked the schedule, we added some new classes, and I think the average class size is about 23 or 24, where last year it was at 28, 29, with the largest class at about 27 in 7th grade, maybe 28. We do have new students moving into the district. Some new classes we added. We have a 6th grade library course. We added an elective for civics for the 7th graders, or I should say enrichment for civics that is turning into an MCAS subject area practice test this year, and it looks like they'll be, if it moves forward, we'll be on the MCAS for next year. So at least we can get the first quarter done, so we can spend more time on the meat and potatoes of civics. And I'd love to thank the staff for stepping forward and coming up with their creative ideas to do it. So with all those schedule changes, I was just waiting for 30 kids to show up saying, where am I supposed to go now? But that didn't happen. It seems to be working smoothly. I would like to just take a quick second to read an email that I received from a parent. I'll leave her name out of it. But it says, this was Thursday afternoon, I just want to thank you and your 6th grade team for what has been an amazing first 2 days of school for my son. He was so nervous to go into the middle school and all the changes, but he has come home both days with a smile on his face and nothing but excitement and great things to say. He even told us today that he would rather go to school for the next 4 days than to go away for the long weekend. Huge kudos to this, hands down, the biggest thank you to the 6th grade teachers. Please, if I could hug them all, I would. And that was very nice of that parent to take that time, send it. This 6th grade team is amazing, and the leadership provided by our 8th grade team, excellent as well. We have 2 new members of our 7th grade team, and after school today, I saw them all talking to each other in the hallway, which was another great sign that cohesiveness is coming together for that. So far, I'm very happy with the start of the school year, but I'm still looking over my shoulder for that other shoe to drop.
You all are.
In regards to the goals, and Cindy and I worked together for these, with also Rob and Greg were there as well, so I appreciate their input. Stealing some fire from Ms. Sosha, goal is by June, 100% of our students would be at or above grade level based on the NWEA testing. So the score of 220 on NWEA roughly correlates to passing MCAS. So that's the line. We're going to do our first round of testing, God willing, tomorrow and Friday, so we can get those baseline numbers. And I was on the phone with NWEA this evening, trying to make sure that everything was squared away for that. They redid their whole website, so it's a little more challenging. We will be utilizing the individual student success plans and testing in fall, winter, and spring for NWEA. And I'm certain that with the talent that we have at the middle school, I'm looking to it at 100% by that time. Some of the students do have test fatigue, especially on that last NWEA. In the winter one, you could see a little dip. And we want to keep them fresh for MCAS. But I'll be excited to see what this brings, and this staff has a tremendous amount of energy going into this school year. It has a real good vibe. I'm just happy to be there. We developed together a UDL goal, a Universal Design for Learning, which I'll let Ms. Sosha discuss.
I thought you were doing all yours, and then I was going to say, well, primary school.
Okay. So you can
Don't
just
go
say
off
we're doing
script,
the same
Bob.
thing.
Don't go off script.
So we're going to do professionally. I'll defer to the veteran administrator. We'll be utilizing UDL for making our classroom practices the best that they can be. There's been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, but we can use that to our advantage on, you can type in, say, Jess Finley did a great job for our PD day, that there's certain AI websites where you put in the YouTube link and it will create questions based on that video. So it really is, for someone who taught before the internet, you'd have to go buy books and, do that, to be able to have that device for you. I hate to say work smarter, not harder, because they're really hardworking, but take advantage of the technology that's out there, and then, of course, tweak it so it fits the teacher's teaching style and the needs of the students. So we'll be doing UDL training throughout the year. We did contract with Marzano again this year. They have, and Cindy's in this as well. It's kind of like Netflix for teachers. These are actual teachers discussing topics, 3 to 5 minute videos, perfect for some reminders is the start of a faculty meeting. And on the plan, we have specific look-fors throughout the year of where we're going to go with this. And then if the staff have a specific desire to learn something else, we will do that as well. Instead of paying for every membership for every teacher, purchase one for the building principal, and we'll just project that on the screen. Marzano Company was happy with that, so it worked out really well, so big bang for their buck. And I'd like to thank Cindy for the grant and Ms. Keegan for her help in securing that. Other goal is SEL. So we are restructuring it slightly at the middle school because we're now at a 7-day cycle, not a 6-day cycle. We got rid of odd and even days because that was confusing to the students. So now they'll be in every class, the enrichment or the related arts, all quarter for one, every day for a quarter, so they're not bouncing around, and students find that much easier to keep track of, as do I. We're working with the Ed Excellent Group on our curriculum, we're doing that in conjunction with the high school. So this curriculum we own forever, and that will be K through 12, I'm sorry, 6 through 12, and a lot of resources. You heard Kayla's name mentioned a bit tonight. Ms. Avidian's, one of her SMART goals is to work on morning meetings, because we do have that time in the morning. I was very excited to see one of our brand-new teachers do a fantastic morning meeting the first day of school. So we just want to make sure that all the kids start their day off right. And then for the SEL, that will be during the long block. So our long block is 90 minutes. They have 30 minutes for lunch, 30 minutes for subject area, and we'll spend 30 minutes once during that 7-day cycle to look at these SEL skills. As you know, the first 2 weeks of school is all about building those relationships with children, making them feel comfortable, and then we'll move into that with resources that some of the teachers already have. But again, that curriculum, it's well done with a lot of extra links to it for a lot of information. For the morning circle, we also set it up in case there was some type of traumatic event that happened, that they have the flexibility to address that. So students really want to be heard and not just spoken to. So that's our goal for that with the SEL. And we'll be doing morning meeting slides on SEL and a set of scenario cards. All students are included in the goal and in morning meetings, and talking to Jess Hurley, our school psychologist, she can do some, during that time, some specific SEL training with students that need it. So they won't be missing instructional time, they won't be missing their related arts. They will go see her for their SEL instructions on their specific needs, whether that's spelled out in a 504 or IEP, or just what we see and what the students know. And again, we're getting new students and trying to make sure that they fit into our expectations. And some of the kids are so cute coming from other schools, and they're very thrilled with the staff at the middle school.
I had a quick question about the SEL. So the 30 minutes, so are all the staff, subject staff, like, are they all going to?
It will probably be done
doing
in their core classes.
Okay,
So at least once during that 7-day cycle, they will have their SEL lesson, and that will probably start, I'm trying to think, next week.
so all the teachers will be doing that in some shape?
Yeah, they're looking at we went over the curriculum a little bit on our professional development days, but they have all the information they needed, plus
Okay.
for that. So we will also look at certain themes of the month. So October is unpacking barriers. Same like the UDL will have specific themes for SEL, kindness and self-reflection and using the CASEL terminology and what they look for in the SEL. I have already noticed a difference this school year as opposed to the first year right after COVID, that the cafeteria is more quiet, a little more, students are more diligent in the hallway, so you see it coming around by reinforcing those goals, and I thank the teachers, especially the veteran teachers like the Kathleen Hayes, the Steph Tamelio, for really building that culture that exists in the school long before I showed up, and it will be there long after I leave, but they built a really strong culture.
At the September 20th school committee meeting, the 4 principals are going to spend time dedicated to talking about the SEL block. I just wanted them to present their goals today, but at that September 20th meeting, they're already on the schedule, on the agenda to talk about what that block looks like, what the curriculum is, how the 20 minutes are broken down, how with the elementary school, the 5, 5, and 5 are broken down. So that'll all be explained in detail at the 20th school committee meeting.
Did we get the panorama?
We still haven't heard about the grant yet.
Okay.
So we're looking at stronger lesson plans, more support for the students, and having high expectation that everyone will be passing MCAS at that 220 level 100%. Thanks to Ms. Socha's guidance. She's a great mentor and role model for me.
Okay, Bob. Lean it on a little thick here.
Mr. O'Brien, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Thank you for this was great, and thank you so much. I know it takes a lot of time, especially at the beginning of the school year for this, but I just had a question about NWEs, because I've never thought about this before until tonight. Is there a paper version of those tests, or is it all electronic?
It's all electronic. I will check with the company to see if there is a paper-based version in case that happens for, there's
Used to be.
couple students that have it for MCAS accommodation. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we have any this year, but I would like to see the difference in it. They just redesigned their whole website right when I got used to it. They changed it all around, so it was another learning curve for myself. But they have a lot more tools in it too, and I think with looking at what that programs offers will really help us with our individual student success plans that we have going. We can make specific goals and use that for all it's worth.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. Primary school. We started with first grade last week. We had kindergarten orientation this week. Preschool has started this week, and kindergarten started today. They're so cute. They get smaller and smaller, I think, each year, actually. There's some real tiny ones this year. You're like, are they 4, really? So we had to question a few of them. A little rough this morning, a little rough with a few tears here and there, but it was short-lived, thank goodness, and we had to shoo the parents away. Just run away. Give them to us and run away. That's our theme, go away. So
You're playing the cute card again?
They're trying to look in the window but we made phone calls. They're fine, you're okay, so we had a great start. But it was nice to have that roll in slowly. So kindergarten was able to come for orientation with their parents yesterday. They got to meet their teacher for the first time. They brought their supplies, they saw their classroom. So it made today a lot easier for everyone. Less anxiety from, the kids. So it was, other than being hot, a little hot, we survived. And it was a great start with everyone. morning meeting this morning, and one of the kindergarten classes, right up on the screen, it was their greeting to each other. So it's first day, they're already morning meeting, and it was to do a heart greeting to their friends. So they had to face their friend and make a little heart to their friend. So it was adorable. You know, you could just stay in those rooms all the time. Miss Keegan, you can come over and watch anytime. So our numbers right now, in first grade, we have 77 students, kindergarten 72, and pre-K 65. That pre-K number is going to vary because as kids turn 3, we pick them up all throughout the year. So 65 is a lot when you think about it. It's almost like a full-size kindergarten class. That's the numbers, I think, is pretty high. Staff-wise, we are missing grade 1 inclusion para, and I'm covering that with my remediation para right now so that we don't have any issues, you know, with the inclusion and covering for kids with the IEPs in that classroom. I'm missing 2 kindergarten paras and 1 ABA in our flex room. So again, we put it out there, and people set up appointments, they don't show up, or they email me and say, I took another position, and then on School Spring, they don't take it down, they don't withdraw their name, so it looks like people are applying, but they're people that we've already gone through, and I've already said, no, they've already taken positions elsewhere. So I did have a few teachers that didn't have jobs and all of a sudden got jobs. So I tried. I'll still keep trying too. So that's where I am with staffing and our beginning of the year. So goals, we are going to just push forward with the same 100% that we did last year. And I know it made a few people nervous, but I said no one got fired over all of this. I know I didn't make my 100%, but it's okay, because if you don't aim for something, it's, you know, what's the sense? Of course you want everyone to meet the 100%. We want every child to leave on grade level. And I think we did a really good job at it. So we're just going to keep going in that same direction, personalize the instruction, and now we're shooting for the math and the literacy. We're still using STAR for the assessment tool. We're also adding some phonics assessments that through our Reading Wonders program, which we haven't had before, so we're going to try that this year. Kindergarten will be able to do a math assessment, fingers crossed, if I can get that up and running, with the new math program. It's the updated version of Go Math. So they will be able to do math, and it's very similar to the STAR. So I'm hoping that we can use that tool. So that will be something new and exciting. Our second goal is the UDL. And we have themes for every month to work on. We're going to be doing professional development. So in August, we focused on strategies for engagement. So we have a document from even last year, just pages and pages of engagement strategies. So the teachers went through and just said, these are the things we did. There were things on here, they said, we have no idea what this is. So they were Googling to find out, what does that really mean? And they came up with a few good ones that they said, we picked a couple to try this year. Great. So let's see how they work. One interesting one was a choice spinner. So they thought they would try something like that, where the child, instead of a choice board, they have a spinner. So it doesn't always mean play. That you, at some point, if it lands on, you need to do your math work or you need to do your sight words, then yeah, you're caught. You need to do that. So it was an interesting activity, and we'll go through the same thing on presentation, representation, on strategies for expression, and so on. So it's ongoing what they're going to be doing with UDL. But it's all about the strategies, and a lot of them we do already in our classrooms. It's really about good teaching. And the third goal is the SEL, and we do a great job already with the morning meeting, but we're just going to, you know, make sure we amp it up a little bit. And so we have themes for the month. Our adjustment counselor met with the teachers. She's providing them with some resources. So the month of September, it's about friendship. And so she gave them all kinds of ideas. It might be something, it's not enough for every day for their slides, but the teachers all do the same morning meeting group of Google slides, so it's very consistent. So a lot of them, when you see someone not getting picked for a team, how can you help? What are some of the qualities of a good friend? How do you show kindness to your friends? So every month there's a theme, And so we'll go through more details, like we said, on the 20th, on how that morning meeting works. But we've been doing morning meeting now since COVID, since we did some professional development on that, and they're very consistent with it. If I walk down the hall on any morning, right first thing, and they're all doing it. Some of them are in a circle, some of them are at the seat, but they're all doing it. Some were dancing.
I walked in, I saw a teacher dancing.
Yes, so that's how we're going to, kind of embellish it by having those themes, having Mrs. Purvis go into her classrooms every week, and she will do the same theme with the classes. So everyone's on the same page. Any questions?
It's so funny listening to you share about like the first day of school of being like in kindergarten and preschool. And it brought me back to like when I was dropping my kids off, and I was thinking, wow, that was like the hardest day of my life.
Yep.
I don't know which one was harder, preschool or kindergarten.
Right.
And then it made me really think, wow, now I just dropped off my daughter at college, and I honestly think that was the hardest day ever. And it's amazing. So if those parents got through
Yes.
this,
Right.
to see what happens. But I mean, it's just, it's amazing to look back and say, wow, I actually was able to drop my kid off, my kid survived, and they're in such a good environment. So,
Right.
I think that puts a lot of parents at ease, too.
Yes.
'Cause you have such an amazing team there.
Right, the staff is amazing, and they're all like motherly to the kids, and they're all happy, enthusiastic, and the kids are smiling, so they don't even know they're learning.
That's a goal.
And Mr. DeFonso was ill tonight, so he'll be presenting his goals again, very similar to what Bob and Cindy presented next time he meets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to mix it up and say Dr. Rosenthal, but since you know you're already up, Mr. Ringet, you're already up. Yeah.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Welcome.
So, quick overview of the high school. You met our student council vice president earlier tonight. Caitlin is awesome. She exemplifies a lot of what's kind of going on around the high school right now. A lot of energy, happiness, good vibes. That's what we're kind of going about in the high school. So that's been our opening. The teachers have been wonderful in just using those first few days of, again, like has happened at the other grade levels. Let's get to know you. I need to know who's in front of me. We're practicing becoming young adults where, when, unfortunately, the students in the high school aren't small and cute like Cindy's are.
Innocent.
They're
So,
tall and cute.
They're tall and cute, right?
That's one way to.
Yeah. But they're starting to develop, their young adult personalities. They're starting to venture out into that realm and become more responsible and more self-sufficient. And that's what we want to see our students do. We want to see them grow. We want to see them, when they do graduate from us, we do want to see that growth, and we want to see them knowing that when we read their name at graduation, that we're sending off somebody that's going to be a productive member of society in whatever field they desire to go in. So that's our ultimate goal. But the opening of the school has been wonderful. Kids have been happy. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from students and teachers about how just a nice breath of fresh air this year has kind of been. So that's kind of how our year has started. We are, again, like the other schools, a little short-staffed. On my end, it's 3 paras, and we are missing 2 ABAs. One of our ABAs would be for the Flex program. One of our ABAs would be for the STARS program. 2 very important programs that we run here that require more than you can possibly imagine for kids that really actually need those supports. So that's where we are. That's where my focus is, on the hiring piece, to get us fully staffed. So as we get applicants, we go through them. We want to make sure we have the best staff members for our students, and we want to service our Flex team and our STARS team first.
And just, I remember a conversation with Ms. Salvis, and you asked a question. We're just not looking for warm bodies. We're not looking for warm bodies. We can't do that. So if we were just looking for a warm body, maybe we'd have 2 or 3 extra people, but you can't put just anyone in with kids. And especially the positions we're looking for are all with our most vulnerable population, and some of it is with our stars, our stripes, and our flex, and you can't just throw a random person in there. You can't. So,
Nope, nope. So I guess I'll move on to my goals at this point. It's a good segue. So my first goal is data-based. My goal is by June of this year that 100% of our students will receive exposure to standardized questions. Our requirement at the high school is the MCAS, pass it, you earn your right to move on and earn your diploma. You don't pass it, well, then we have avenues we have to go through, okay? We want to make sure that our younger grades 9 and 10, are getting as much exposure to that as possible. So that's part of it. But it doesn't just stop and end at MCAS. We also have AP. We have the ACT. We have the SAT. We have WIDA. We have the Seal of Biliteracy. We have the ASVAB. We want our students to be exposed to all of that. So when they do go ahead, if we have a student that's going to go into the armed services, they look at the ASVAB and they're ready for it. They can actually have their primary skills that they're going to go into the armed services with, as high as they can be. So we want that really across the board for all of our students. Again, regardless of the fields that they'll be going into, regardless of what direction they end up post-high school. So that's where our data goal is going to lead us.
can you talk a little bit about what you mean about standardized school questions, just for maybe the layperson watching at home tonight?
Yes. So there are published standardized questions all over the internet. The Department of Ed publishes standardized questions. College Board, Pearson, who runs the MCAS, they are everywhere. In a couple of days, I'll be talking to our department heads about how I would like to see this kind of exposed into our classes. So we're going to be talking our warm-ups, our exit tickets, our common assessments that we have. We're going to see it across the board on whatever they're working on. There's some standardized piece to this to make sure that we are meeting all standards for all of our students. And that's really the goal, because that's what we teach. We teach the standards, but we teach it with autonomy, and we teach it with our own little pizzazz. So that's why we're heading in that direction. We'd like to see, some improvement in certain areas, and that has a lot to do with this goal as well. As I dissect more information, I'll have more information for you on that level. My second goal is similar to the others. It's universal design of learning. We will have developed and implemented a comprehensive professional development program around universal design of learning. I will say that Ms. Sosha explained it perfectly, that it really comes down to good teaching.
Yeah.
It comes down to good teaching. There's a lot of things that go on in here that teachers, a lot of veteran teachers, do on a regular basis. Some of our younger teachers do on a regular basis. We're just looking to improve step by step here. So I have exposed my teachers to the things that we would look for in a walkthrough, in an observation. These are the things we're going to target in our observations. We're going to say, we look through our checklist. We have, okay, here's a checklist that I would typically look at. We would look at mastery objectives, look at warm-ups, agendas posted, things like that. Was the mastery objective, worked throughout the lesson, or was it just posted in front of the board type of deal? So we have these types of look-fors. We have certain engagement look-fors that we would see. And the teachers have been given access to all of these things for my walkthroughs, for my observations, and we'll continue down that process. So they're currently aware of what we're looking for at this point, and we're going to start with our walkthroughs. We're going to start with sending them, brief little emails. Hey, it was great seeing you work this part of UDL into your program today. I'd like to see more of this or that. So yeah, so we are having that whole, this is what we'd like to see. We know we're gonna see it. Let's just keep track that we are seeing it. So that's our UDL goal. We will continue on for unpacking barriers, making sure engagement and representation is involved as we progress through the year. Third goal, similarly, is based off of social emotional learning. It's our SEL goal. So similar to what Mr. O'Brien had said, at the middle school, we are sharing a program, and we're going to share that curriculum. It's lifelong, which is great. It is grade-based and targeted towards, certain grade levels, certain age levels, which is excellent. Mrs. Ryan has done a fantastic job of getting that situated for staff members. So for the staff members, it's really come down to a plug and play for them. Makes it very simple, very easy for them to access, very easy for them to bring this information to their students and their advisories. Mr. Vega also worked with Mrs. Ryan on this to kind of coordinate a Rising Stars piece as well, so that students are uplifting and they're become more of a leader throughout the building. So they have actually scheduled that completely out, which is fantastic. The high school runs advisories and interventions every Tuesday and Thursday. So if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, you have an advisory or an intervention. Advisories have been scheduled throughout, interventions have been scheduled throughout, and we're at a point right now where they have really taken this one on and made it their own and done a great job of actually allowing this to be accessible to all our students in that aspect.
That's it.
Those are my 3 goals.
I'm excited to see the program in for advisory, because I know that advisory is kind of, there's been different interpretations on what it should look like, so I'm really excited to see what happens for the kids with there being some systematic instruction, but obviously still giving the teachers the opportunity to build the relationships with the kids.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
And last but not least, Dr. Rosenthal.
Thank you, and good evening. So just an update on the department at the start of the school year. We actually started to do it, well, we initiated a reorganization of our coordinators. We hired a brand-new coordinator, Chelsea Cardinal, who I'm excited to introduce next meeting. Her background and her strengths were more at the early elementary school level. And I really like to play on people's strengths. And the coordinator position that was open was at the middle school, high school level. With that being said, our current primary and elementary school coordinator, Jen Ramsdale, volunteered to say, you know what, I was part of this interview. I see where her experience is with. I will volunteer to come up to the middle school and high school. So I greatly appreciated that volunteering. That was amazing by her, who also has some experience with middle school and high school level, as she was a previous director for a district. So she does have that experience. And then we're very happy to bring Chelsea in. We're also going to be mentoring her. We're looking to bring, it's not official yet, so I'm not going to make the announcement right at the moment. But we're looking to mentor her in some of the backgrounds of special education administrative roles. And between that person and myself, we'll be able to provide a lot of that background information for her. You'll see me running some meetings in the next few weeks and just showing her the ins and outs of some of the important pieces of mandated special education paperwork and timelines. So very excited with that.
To go off that real quick, I know I've said thank you to Jen for doing that, but we know there was a spotlight on special education in previous years. And just thank you to Jen for stepping up and saying, I'm looking at this as a whole program and what's best for our kids and what's best for the district. And she built a lot of relationships with elementary school parents and with staff and with students, but she knew her skill set and Chelsea's skill set would be better served at the primary. So she volunteered to move, so that's great. And I think we're finalizing a contract tomorrow before we do make anything official. We'll wait to them, but we're really excited to have some people back to help mentor Chelsea and work with our staff and families just to make sure we start the school year off right. But I just wanted to publicly thank Jen for that. She was real comfortable and doing a great job in elementary and was starting to hit her groove after being here 3-4 months, but I really appreciate her making that switch for the district.
100%. Absolutely. We do have currently an open OT position. It's a half-time position. However, I'm in talks with French River to be able to provide those services. Unfortunately, our interviews did not pan out. We've been going up all the way to Monday, trying to interview someone. So with French River, they can come in right away, and there would not necessarily be any type of missed services. Very quickly could be making up anything as schedules are being arranged anyways at the moment. So we've been in continuous conversations, Dr. Vieira, the principals, and myself about open positions. On Friday, as mentioned, there will be compensatory letters, if needed, being sent out to the appropriate families. There are two types of those letters. There's one that we know that there's an opening and a vacancy, and we are not covering those services. And we will be meeting with the families to discuss what a compensatory plan would look like. There's also a potential anticipated compensatory. We're not 100% sure if that vacancy will impact services. So there could be a talk later on down the road, but I want to be 1,000% transparent with families and just give them notice ahead of time if that is to come up. So there's not later on questions. So that'll be Friday. There's going to be that's all the open positions on my plan. So you're going to see a little bit of a common theme now with my goals and also what we were just talking about. I really like to play on people's strengths and strengths also in a district. So my goals are also building upon strengths. So if you look at the adjustments to practice goal, it's not so much that we're going to be making vast changes. That's not what we're here to do. What we are is to look at people's strengths, what we're doing well, and if adjustments need to be made, how do we do that in a way we're using their strengths? So we want to empower the instructional personnel and analyze results from a variety of assessments. Part of those assessments aren't just the numbers, aren't just the data from MCAS or from benchmarks, but I also want the qualitative data. I want to talk to stakeholders. What are we doing as a practice? Getting that feedback as well, because that's going to be the background to the numbers that give us the information to make our decisions. So that's going to be part of this. So the first one is through teacher observations, the special education department, this will include the coordinators as well, will review current co-teaching practices within the district. The special education administrators will discuss observations once a month during our coordinators meetings. And by the end of the school year, there will be a summary of those evaluations, which will include if there needs to be adjustments to practice and what possible professional development into the next school year. Again, I want to take my time this year and take a look at what we're doing and where we have been and what would be appropriate moving forward. Second, so you're going to hear a lot from me about data, but that's how we make our decisions. We're going to implement a one-to-one support rubric to analyze that level of service. For me, that is the most restrictive service we can ever provide a student. You are removing that ability to make decisions on your own, and you're relying on someone else to help you with that. So if we can identify the areas of support and the reasons for that, so we can make those data decisions at the meetings, that would be very helpful. We're also going to do that with ESY. We want to make sure that we are implementing an appropriate summer program, and we're looking to adjust that summer program a little bit. We've had a lot of variety of programs over the years, just looking at past history. We want to make sure it's not just, coming in for a few hours. We want to make it really appropriate based on student goals, but also it's still summer for kids. We want to give them that opportunity to still have a little bit of fun. And how do we create a ESY program that hits both? So we're going to do that with a rubric. And then the special education department will review student needs throughout the district and develop program descriptions. I would really like to define our programs. This is what skill development is going to be in for this child during this block or for this time. We do that for a lot of our related services. So if you're with your speech language professional, you're working on, social pragmatics or expressive and receptive language. Well, we can do similar things with our programs. Are we working on coping and self-regulation skills? Are we working on self-advocacy skills? Are we working on pre-vocational skills? These all can be defined in our program, so we know where our goal areas are being met. And that's something I want to talk to our staff about throughout the course of the year. And it helps build a continuum so parents know when their child is age 3, there's services that go to each school and goes all the way up to, if a child really requires it, to their age 22. So I want to make sure that parents are aware of that as well. The next goal is underneath laws and policies, and provides resources and supports for all school personnel to understand and comply with state and federal mandates. So we have a 100% compliance goal for this year. I want the department to be 100% in compliance and have policies and procedures in place so that way we will be in compliance. Now that's with timelines, that's with appropriate paperwork, so on and so forth. I'm a little ambitious. My first one, I said by September 15th, I'll have at least 5 opportunities offered to meet with various stakeholders. We're getting close to that number. I'll be meeting with coordinators again tomorrow. We've moved up our meeting to Thursday this week to look at our policies and procedure manual. I have just submitted our self-audit for Department of Ed for our tiered focus monitoring, which is our special education review that was done today. The findings will come out, and I will be reporting out to school committee once it does. But that's going to really push a lot of this in the laws and the regulations. So our goals are going to be centered around a lot of that compliance components and making sure that policy and procedure manual is in place to really support moving forward, so everyone is aware, okay, if an evaluation comes in and the school secretary receives it, that means the school has received it. Who's the appropriate person to send it to immediately so we can get the timelines moving, so on and so forth. And again, I want to vet this out with all the stakeholders, so we have practices in place. I've heard numerous great things about our color coding system. Our color coding system for our paperwork, the teachers know it. I don't know it. I've never heard of a color coding system for this, but they know it, they want to use it, so let's incorporate that. We're going to put that in the policy and procedure manual. If it works for them, I'm not changing it. There's no reason to change it. So let's do it. All right, so, and then I want to finalize that. I'm hoping by the end of September. I might have to push it out just a little bit, but I want to make sure I get an opportunity to meet with all stakeholders. That includes, I want parents to be aware, because this is also something that is a practice that they need to be aware with. So there will be some information shared out at our CPAC meetings. By the end of March 2024, we will have at least 5 meetings to talk about these policies and procedures in that manual. So we're going to have at least one meeting a month at each school with the special education teachers in that department, with the coordinators, and we're going to review those policies and procedures and ensure that everyone is trained on that. It's a very large manual, so it wouldn't be something that you can really take in one sitting. I just want to make sure it's done appropriately. And then twice a month, the special education administrators, such as tomorrow, will be sitting down and reviewing compliance and timelines. They're going to have a spreadsheet. This is when the annuals due. This is when evaluations are due. These are our upcoming initials. So we will continue to review that, and we will document our attempts to have meetings, or if they didn't occur, what was the reason for it. A lot of this is going to go into our on-site visit by Department of Ed, which will happen in April. So I need to document a lot of that. Family and community engagement. So again, the community and the parents are crucial stakeholders in developing our practices. We're here to provide a service for students within this district, and we're lucky to do that, and I want to make sure that what we're providing also is something that the parents are looking for. So being able to meet at least once a month with the CPAC, we already have some dates, and it looks like we're going to have at least 2 a month, 1 business meeting, 1 update meeting. We've already actually met as a group twice, once at the end of July, once at the end of August, and we have a meeting next Wednesday, official business meeting, where we'll be electing, hopefully, the board. So that's part of that. And then by the end of the school year, we are going to have at least 3 sessions for parents to attend meetings, which will outline and discuss the new IEP. By September 1 next year, we have to implement the brand-new IEP document, which DESE has put out. We had the opportunity to pilot that this year. We just weren't ready for it. When we came in July, I thought it was just too much too soon. So we're going to take our time over the course of this year, do some training with the staff, do some training with the parents, and go over just the subtle nuances of the change of the IEP. Most of it is still similar. There's just a few subtle nuances, as I mentioned, that are changing. And then continue to reflect. So over the course of this year and moving forward, we're going to continue to reflect as a department, and always look to see what we can adjust and meet new needs, being flexible, being able to provide what our students are presenting, and that's going to be really important. So we're going to still meet twice a month as a department to review policies, practices, and procedures, and analyze strengths and opportunities for adjustments. We will emphasize on state and federal mandates, and really what I want to do with these meetings is empower our coordinators. These students will be on the ground floor at the buildings more than I will, and being able to empower them to meet with the principals, to meet with the staff members, and really have that unified front for our department. And because they are also administrators, they're going to be the ones who can really provide a lot of the day-to-day support where I can't. So, and those are my goals for this year.
Thank you so much. It's nice to hear, like, how the processes are all becoming crisp and clear and transparent, and families can know what to expect down the line and, like, know ahead of time. And so it's really nice to see all the changes that are coming on board this year. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And although this all fell under my report, I know the bulk of the work came from the principals and Dr. Rosenthal, but that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the school committee and subcommittee reports. Accounts payable. There's a couple.
So, warrant SCH 24 and MS 2401, a total of 7 batches, and a total dollar amount of $280,022. Sorry. There was no concerns on that one, and that's all I have for tonight.
Moving on to the consent agenda, reviewing the August 16th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Can we actually hold this one, because I don't think either one of us can approve it. We weren't here.
Okay, yeah, we should table this then until the next meeting.
Table it?
Table it, since we, the other members that were present at that meeting are not here. correct?
No problem.
All right. And next, we have the general fund budget FY 2024. We're going to take a look at that again.
Yes. So it's been an interesting budget season. Yeah. So after the town meeting, actually sometime after the town meeting, Jean Lovett, the Finance Director, Town Accountant, notified me that the amount that was in the warrant at the town meeting was $10,000 more than what we were told our appropriation was. It was probably just So anyway, we had to just do a new vote for the budget. So what we did was, we put the additional $10,000 was put into the superintendent dues and memberships account, and it's been used to fund Care Solace, which is a program previously funded by a grant, and that did work out very well last year. That provides mental health service resources to students, staff, and families. Therefore, this program has been reinstated because of that. So that's what we decided, because we did not have the funding for that. And we kept talking about it over and over. They kept asking us over and over about doing that. And I know the school committee was very, that was an excellent program. So, so I did provide a new report with that incorporated within the budget with the new figure. So the final town meeting appropriation amount with that in there is an increase of $123,335 over the previous year, which is a 0.84% increase over the prior fiscal year, as far as our general fund, our town appropriation is. So we do just need, Jean just needs the actual vote to vote the budget, so, by the school committee. So does anyone have any questions?
I move to approve the updated fiscal year 2024 general fund budget in the amount of $14,731,424. There is no change to the transportation budget.
Second.
Motion made by Beth, seconded by Julie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, thank you. Next on the agenda, we just need to do this annually. The auditors do look for this. So we're just reaffirming the existing student activity fund accounts for both the middle school and the high school, and I have provided the listing there for you. And which ones have been closed are clearly delineated, like the prior classes.
You looking for a motion?
I move to affirm the student activity accounts of the Douglas Middle School and Douglas High School student activity funds per the attached fiscal year 2024 student activity accounts listing.
Motion made by Julie, seconded by
Your second?
Beth. All those in favor?
Aye. This is awesome.
Okay, next I have, next on the agenda is, we were reviewing, as we go along, but particularly at the end of the fiscal year, we have have been noticing the balance increasing in the DES after-school enrichment program, and you're not allowed to build up a war chest of funds in a revolving fund. So I did meet with Mr. Delfonso, and as you know, currently it's $50 per student per class, so we'd like to recommend for this school year to make it 25. We don't want to make it nothing, that's absolutely not. But certainly 25, we both agree was a very reasonable number. So currently, the fund balance as of June 30th in the account is $19,997.81. The FY23 revenues were $26,965, and the expenditures were $14,481.94. So we certainly feel absolutely that that would be warranted, and we hope that that helps other families, especially during these difficult times, able to, avail themselves of that program as well. Now, certainly, we may have to revisit it next year, but we don't want to not do it just because there might be a change back up, or maybe we might keep it the same next year. But, I'm not an advocate of not making a change that should be made, because you might have to increase it later on. I mean, just, at least for this year. And again, we're not supposed to be building up a war chest of money in any revolving fund account, such as a programmatic one like this, so.
So is the plan to go into next year with it, hoping for $25?
There'll probably still be a balance there, but we don't know, again, we can't predict how many students, how many classes, you just can't predict that for the year.
So that'll automatically come to school committee again at the beginning of next year?
Oh, absolutely.
I just didn't know if we needed to specify this year or not, but.
In the motion.
it's
Okay,
just-
you know what? That's an excellent point.
Okay.
We will say for the school year, absolutely.
Okay.
So let's see. Well, does anyone have any other questions?
I'll read it appropriately.
Okay. Yeah, we just want to make sure that we add in there, to approve the reduction in the DESE after-school enrichment program fee for school year 2023-2024, from $50 per student per class to $25 per student per class.
Okay, so I move to approve the reduction in the DES after-school enrichment program fee from $50 per student per class to $25 per student per class for the school year of 2023 to 2024.
Motion made by Julie, seconded by
Second.
Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, as far as business manager, now we're moving on to the business manager report, sorry. I do have some additional FY23 reclassifications and transfers. I have reclassification number 4, and transfers number 3, and transfers number 4. So these were just additional things that we had to do. We had to do some more reclasses for FY23, and then had to do 2 sets of transfers, just as we were going back and forth through the process, basically. So does anyone have any questions on FY 2023 reclassifications number 4?
Do you know what was in this one? I just don't know if I can. Do we have to make a motion for these? I just don't know
Oh, yeah.
what was in that one, if that's something that,
Oh, that's contractual services.
but it could be something that could be a conflict of
Yeah,
interest with you.
This was for, this is medical therapeutic.
It could be a conflict of interest for me to,
I
I don't know, and I would
doubt it.
prefer.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I really don't
Actually, these two both
think it's
are-
gonna be,
Right?
because these are not, just for, this is for the district.
No,
This is
I-
for the oh,
okay.
okay. No. Yeah, it's not for,
A specific
yeah,
student? Okay.
it's for the district.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that shouldn't be a problem. I
Okay.
mean, that's for the whole district,
Okay.
yeah.
I just like to,
Be transparent.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that really shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Do you need a motion on each of those?
Yeah, well, I didn't know if
To
anybody
approve
had
this,
any
right?
questions, so.
Yeah, I mean, the reclassifications number 4 to me looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and this is just cleaning up at the end, because we found some additional encumbrances that needed to be done. So then we had to move things from school choice into the general fund, and then I had to clean things up to make everything come nice and clean to zeros with the transfers. That's all it is. We did find some additional things that we had to encumber for FY '23.
So if I'd be looking for a motion to approve the FY 2023 reclassifications number 4.
So moved.
Motion made by Beth, seconded by
Julie.
Julie. All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Okay. Any questions on the FY 2023 year-end transfers number 3? Looking for a motion?
I move to approve fiscal year 2023 year-end transfer number 3.
Motion made by Julie, seconded by
Me?
Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the final one, FY 2023 general fund budget transfers number 4. Any questions on that one?
Nope.
Is that the one that you were concerned?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to just, abstain.
I'll just, if I abstain, can it still pass?
Can we table this till the next?
Well, no, we have to close out the books. We absolutely have got to close out the books.
Because we wouldn't be able to take
Yeah.
a vote on this
Yeah.
if she abstains.
Yeah.
So we'd have
And
to.
I really don't think it's a problem. I really don't.
I-
But I just don't know, I don't want you to be uncomfortable either, but.
It's basically just
But we-
reclassing.
We are taking a vote, and you're signing off as chairman, so.
I know
Do
that
what you feel is comfortable. Because, I mean, if
Yeah.
we have to reorganize,
if we need to have an
come together
emergency,
again,
Sign
if we need to have an
we'll come
emergency
again.
meeting,
Yeah.
I don't want to make everybody do something
we could do it
difficult.
via Zoom if we
Yeah,
had
you
to
could
do
do
it via
Zoom.
Zoom.
Is that okay? I just for,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I,
And but
can't-
then, but why don't we take the vote anyway and have, if you want to abstain? Because, I mean, it's the chair and the vice chair that signs off. I don't know, I guess we can.
But we wouldn't have anyone to
just say-
second, we wouldn't have anyone to second the motion.
Oh.
Why can't a chairperson second? Technically, they can. They're a voting member.
They can.
But don't you have to have
Yeah, I think, yeah. I'm
quorum,
thinking
right?
probably
You have to have
a
3
majority.
people.
You have to have a majority, and we
Yeah,
are the
that's right,
majority.
too. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yeah, I'm thinking
I'm
more
not
about
trying
the
to be a
chairman
jerk.
signing.
I just don't want
It's okay.
anybody to.
You should never have to vote in a way that you're not comfortable.
Let's be safe.
Yeah.
And just table it, and if we need to have, if we need 48 hours to post for a meeting. Worst case scenario, we'll go back, we'll look at this, we'll see if it's a conflict. If it is, or if it isn't, we can post a meeting for Tuesday of next week, have one thing on the agenda, we need a quorum, we can.
We'll have to do a meeting.
I know,
Yeah,
yeah, as I
we'll
said,
have to-
But wait.
we'll post for a
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
What happens if we do 2 people voting, though, based on the majority of us being here? Because we don't base it on the majority of 5 people, we base it on 3, right? Doesn't that make the most sense?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm so tired, I can't even think. That's kind of what I was thinking earlier, but I'm just not sure I'm correct.
I feel like it's not,
I don't,
I'd
yeah.
rather not,
Yeah, I think it
I'd
would
rather
be, I
not
think it's a
do it.
majority.
I'd rather
It's
not do.
easy enough for us to get together on a computer from our homes.
Correct.
Yeah, do a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And do a Zoom meeting with one thing on the agenda to approve it. I'd rather not,
What's
I'd rather do it
the-
wrong than have to backtrack.
Yeah.
Then let's go and see what happens. Heather and
You
Teresa
just
can.
post it right away for Monday
Yep,
then.
you tell me when to sign on, and I will sign on, and I'm sure,
Yeah.
others will do the same. so.
And it'll be
Depending on
one
when,
thing.
Do you know when Heather is coming back?
I'm not sure.
We could do it for Monday.
We could text her in the morning
Yeah.
and find out.
Maybe
Yeah.
she'd even be willing.
She might even be able to do, if it's,
On the phone?
if it's literally open the meeting, do one thing, close the meeting. It could be 4 minutes on Zoom.
All those Zoom rules, when we came out of COVID, as far as how that works.
Let's table it to make
All
sure we're
right.
comfortable.
Thank you.
doing
So
it.
which one are
sorry
we-
about
which one
that.
Which one are we tabling? We already did.
The
Number
general
4,
fund-
right?
Number 4, yeah.
Tabling, okay, I just want to make sure. And the other 2 were unanimous, right? Yeah, okay. Well, it actually doesn't, okay. Table that, okay. And let me just double check here. No, that's it for me. Yeah.
All right.
All righty.
So, any topics not anticipated?
Nothing for tonight.
All right, then I'd be looking for a motion to
wait, can I
adjourn.
say something?
Oh, sure.
So I just want to say something, I want to do it publicly, actually. So I came to a decision that I just wanted to announce, and I'll send a letter off too, but this is going to be this would be my last year of my 3rd term. And unfortunately, I feel that it's in the best interest of this community and the board at this time that I step down and make room for someone with the time and the energy to devote to this critical and valuable job in being part of a community that serves to oversee our school system in this town. So I just feel that it's time for me to pass the torch to someone who has the same passion and desire for success and growth of their community, especially our youth, that invoked my desire to be a part of something so much bigger than ourselves. So I just feel that this is something that I want to address right now tonight, because we are at the beginning of a school year, and I want that to be on people's minds if anybody is interested. I don't know what that's going to involve, and I'll talk to the chair about it, but.
So what we'll do is, again, 9 years is
Yeah,
a long.
that's a long
Yeah,
time.
thank you for your
It's- it's-
service.
I want somebody that has the passion to continue on.
So what we'll do is, first and foremost, like I said, thank you. 9 years is a long time.
wow,
Or
9
eight,
years.
8 years plus one meeting is a long time. What we'll do is I'll work with Heather tomorrow. I'll reach out to Greg. I know we have bylaws. I don't have them in front of us as to what happens when there's a resignation from the board at the beginning,
Yeah.
middle
Yeah.
of the year. I'll work with Heather on that and with you, but,
Not to add to the plate, but I just, today was interesting where I don't have cell service, and
I know I said you a text and it just said.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just feel that with a lot of unexpected challenges and changes that I've had happen, it's been an honor. Dealt with a lot of ideologies and a lot of people on this board. It's amazing. Well, you've been here the whole
Especially
time, so
all
you
those
know.
years, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of
Going back to
years.
Scott and Sonia and everybody, so, but I feel like there's people that might be out there that right now, this is the time where people are energized. Get people while we can. There has to be somebody out there that wants to
Always looking for people to get involved.
be
so.
here, and you don't, as you saw tonight, we don't always have to agree, or, we're a committee, so, anyway, I give a lot of thought about it, and I felt it was a right decision, and usually you have to go through the selectmen and all that, but
Correct.
you'll figure it all out, so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
again
for
for
your
your
service.
service.
Wow, can't believe it's been 9 years. Holy cow.
2014?
Yeah. Wow.
With that,
Doesn't seem like it.
I've been looking for a motion.
Go ahead, you do it.
For the final time.
I
For Julie.
move that we adjourn this meeting at
Is that right? Yeah.
8:42.
8:42.
Motion made by Julie, seconded by?
Me.
Beth.